Welcome to the West Coast Business Show, everyone. We've got William and myself. We're the hosts of the show, but we've got two guests here. We got Jordan Ballantyne with EXP Realty and Ron Parpara. Ron and I, we go way back. You helped me buy a house, did some hardcore haggling on my behalf, so thank you for that. That place worked out very, very well for us.
Not still leaking, by the way.
It is not leaking in our unit.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. And hopefully insurance goes down.
Insurance
Has gone down.
Though, you know what happened though with that is what we were talking about at that time is what we paid for it, like because you made a quite aggressive offer, it got accepted. She tried to back out, it was too late, all that sort of stuff happened. But by sort of market rate, even with the higher insurance, it still ended up being pretty reasonable. Yeah. Like now to get into that place, you'd be, I mean, 100,000 more for sure, but probably more than that. So, you know, it worked out. It worked out.
Happy.
Maybe William, let's kick it off. I know, I mean, you've been doing some property development yourself, so it's good timing that we've got two top real estate agents in Vancouver. And it's a pretty competitive market. Every second, third person you meet is in it, but you've sort of managed to rise to the top. So maybe I'll hand it over to you, William, and get things going.
Thanks, Jared, and welcome, Ron and Jordan. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedules and being on the show. So why don't we get right into it? I'd love to hear a little bit about the current market. A little bit, I guess, about my background, and came here to Vancouver 16 years ago. I'm a carpenter by trade. Spent many years on site, banging nails, formwork, framing, finishing, renovations, tenant improvements, all that kind of thing. We have a bunch of pubs, so we built those out ourselves as well. We're a small little group, and we recently set up a development company. So we have our first ever development in Vancouver. It's called Renfrew Ridge. It's in the Renfrew area, so in Vancouver. We're building a duplex there. I think we've got a pretty nice product, but I'm getting concerned. We done our pro forma about a year ago. For like, I guess it was about maybe $350 a square foot. We're probably up at about $400 a square foot buildable now. They're about 1,600 square foot each. Two beautiful homes, 3 bedrooms, private rooftop patio. I believe we were the first to get a private rooftop patio approved on a duplex in Vancouver, so I'm told. Beautiful views of the North Shore, of downtown. But now that we're framing and we're starting to put in our lumber and our steel and the tariffs are in place, things have really changed. You know, I always say you can plan, but one thing that's for sure is things will change. And we can't do anything about that. So costs have increased, and that's something that we will likely have to pass on to the buyer to try and make a little bit of money. And now the price has gone up a bit, and I'm concerned, are we going to be able to sell these homes? They are unique. They're going to be very well finished and very well built. So I think we will, but it's still something that worries me in the back of my head. So I'd love to hear your opinion on the current market and the tariffs and all that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Happy to comment on that. I think the market depends on what segment you're in. The duplex market is a little bit more challenging. Detached is probably still the most desirable. It's more balanced, I would say, because at the end of the day, everybody wants, their own house. I think condo market is a little bit a trickier one to move right now. There's a lot of inventory, as you guys I'm sure have heard. And it seems to be Vancouver is a little tricky, but even as you go further out, there's even more inventory in other cities. So the duplex, I think we're kind of wondering if there's going to be like a policy change. Maybe the government might need to intervene because the inventory is creeping up to like an 11-year high right now. Wow. And I don't know if just interest rates alone are going to help the market improve to where it needs to be. I heard a stat from our friend Steve Saretsky. He's a big kind of YouTube guy, and he's very knowledgeable. He mentioned that it's going to take 25 years for Vancouver to become affordable again. So I don't think that we're going to see a huge crash on prices dropping, 80% or anything like that. There's going to be ups and downs in the market, like any market. But I do think in the next year or two, things hopefully will get better with as interest rates keep coming down, and hopefully there's going to be some changes. Maybe they'll lift foreign buyer ban.
Big one.
Maybe they'll improve on the rental situation. A lot of people they can't really hold their vacation properties anymore. So and even investors right now, to rent out is not that exciting for them because the amount of rent they get for the costs for
It's dropped too, right?
yeah, property taxes, insurance, strata fees, repairs, replacement. It's just not that exciting. A lot of people who are investors, they'll take their money and potentially go elsewhere. We would like obviously the money to stay in Canada. So I think the government has a work cut out for them, but hopefully they can improve the situation.
Copper Beach Bar and Kitchen, not just a dining destination. We are located along the Sea to Sky Highway in Britannia Beach. Come and enjoy our delicious menu and wide selection of drinks while taking in stunning views from our heated patio. We host live music and trivia nights weekly. Whether you're hosting a birthday party or corporate event, we offer a versatile space that can accommodate up to 100 guests. Visit copperbeachbar.com to discover how we can help you create unforgettable memories in Britannia Beach. Discover Geo Cider, where Squamish's natural beauty meets artisanal cider craftsmanship. Our passionate team creates small batch ciders that capture the essence of the Sea to Sky corridor. From our signature Old World apple with hints of toffee to unique blends like dark fruit and peach, there's a cider for every palate. Enjoy our warm atmosphere, wide selection of craft ciders and beers, and mouth-watering food pairings. Whether you're a local or just passing through, GeoCider offers a taste of Squamish you won't forget. Visit geocider.com to learn more about our cider making process and upcoming events. GeoCider, where cider makes life better. IRL Construction is your trusted licensed residential builder and general contractor in Vancouver. Our team excels in delivering complex concrete formwork and large-scale industrial builds, leveraging innovative techniques and advanced technologies. From wastewater treatment plants to major industrial facilities, we bring precision and reliability to every project. Our comprehensive construction management services ensure efficient execution and superior quality results, even in the most challenging industrial environments. Visit irlgroup.ca/construction to discover how our concrete and industrial construction expertise can bring your vision to life in Vancouver.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Like, I think it's very, like, as a whole, the market is, there's a lot to look at. There's high inventory, not a lot of transactions happening. But if you break it down, each area is, a little different, right? When you go to like Cole Harbour to Yaletown versus, Fairview, Kitsilano, all these sub areas definitely have their own type of market. So, I mean, we can look at it generally speaking, like Ron said, we're creeping up on 11-year highs, right? Not a ton of stuff happening in the condo market. That's kind of, I feel like, where most of these stats come from. If you were to just single out, detached, it's definitely moving a lot different than if you were just to take, a one-bedroom condo kind of class itself, right? So the detached product is definitely more balanced. You still see some multiple offers, which you probably haven't heard of in a long time, but those things are happening. You go into condos, say one bedroom condo, your entry level kind of market still has a decent floor to it. Like we're going on buyer tours with some of our clients that are in that market for the one bedroom product, and we're seeing some stuff sell in 3-4 days. It's not 30 or 40 days. So yeah, I think it's different for every kind of product you're looking for based on the area, but as a whole, yeah, it's a little slow moving out there.
When Ron was saying about the interest rate, that they wouldn't fix it, I noticed that you shook your head.
Yeah, I don't think the interest rates will really fix it. I think, it'd have to be something drastic, in my opinion. Like the foreign buyer ban would be huge. Like if that was to happen, I think there's a lot of Americans like everywhere. Like we get calls from all over the place that people are interested in, purchasing property, and, you can obviously buy commercial. There's a couple of different ways you maybe could get into a property, but it's, there is a foreign buyer ban until 2027 at this point. I think if they lifted that would definitely be a market mover or shaker. Like it would definitely correct it more than, interest rate drops, right? But yeah, we slipped away pretty far at this moment. So take some bigger moves, I think.
What about the vacation home tax? Like that, I forget what it's actually called, but essentially you get taxed a percentage if you've got a second home now. Do you think they'd ever get rid of that? Would that even help the market, or is that more of a rural sort of?
I think it would keep money, like keep keep people here for sure. I mean, just in our own experience, we have clients that are leaving just for empty home stacks. Like, you know, they're like, hey, I like to use my property down in Cole Harbour. It's great. You know, we're not always in the country, but you know, it's not tenanted, right? You know,
Yeah.
now it's eating this massive hole in my pocket. It's not cheap. It's
Yeah.
expensive, right? And that can be a deterrent for someone just to sell like that. So
Yeah. Something well, you're talking, staying on sort of the condos and duplexes and these types of units. Something I can't quite figure out is if you look at stats for how much people make on average, and you look at the whole housing price, and there's these charts that show it, right? That like, you know, 50 years ago, yeah, people made less, but the homes, the ratio was made more sense.
yeah.
Now it doesn't make sense anymore. So what is it? Just like 4 people sign on to buy every home? Is that essentially what people are doing for these? I'm not talking about the $2 million, $5 million. I'm talking about, you know, $1.5 million and below.
Yeah.
How are people even getting in there?
I think there's a few different ways. I think a lot of it is family help, though.
That's what most of
the family has maybe you know, quote unquote won the lottery from owning their, you know, property on the west side, which is
right.
You know, they sold it for 5 million or whatever it may be. So I think they want to help their kids, which I'm sure we all want to help our kids, right? So that kind of makes sense. I think another way they do it is they try to have like a rental suite. So even some duplexes, they do have like an area to rent out. So a lot of people they can't even get into the detached market without a suite. Even in townhomes, we've seen it. We've seen it in duplexes that they actually have rental suites. So I think that would be the only way to, well, I shouldn't say the only way, but that might be an easier way. Get a good mortgage broker on your side. We have a good one. Maybe you should bring him on the show. He's great.
Yeah, he was good. He's on it.
Oh, you used them as well? I was going to ask you, McKay.
Yeah, I used them. Yeah, no, he was fantastic.
You should invite him on the show, but no pressure. Yeah, so I think there's a few different ways of doing it. I think the suites help. I think the family is the big one. People maybe have to take like second and third jobs. I mean, whenever you hop into an Uber, they're usually telling you like maybe they're trying to sell you on their other job. It could be realtors, it could be something else.
Yeah.
But like you said, like a lot of people here are, you know, they're doing multiple businesses or work or it's not that easy to kind of pull off 1.5. I mean, that's one thing, but the down payment is even
right
for a lot of people to save up. You know, a couple $100K is not easy.
Take the road to freedom today and reshape your future with a Shamrock Storehouse Irish pub. We've crafted a success-driven model that makes owning your dream business simple, affordable, and rewarding. Keep more of what you earn while creating a thriving community hub. With Shamrock Storehouse, you're not just opening a pub, you're building a legacy and creating memorable experiences for your community. Visit shamrockstorehouse.com today to take the first step towards owning your local Irish pub. Call us at 778-328-1884 or email info@shamrockstorehouse.com to start your journey. Vanway Properties, where properties are passion and people are our priority. As an award-winning Vancouver-based developer with over 25 years of experience, we're committed to creating exceptional real estate projects. We focus on sustainable building, smart solutions, and community contribution. From strategic development management to innovative design, visit vanwayproperties.com to discover how we can turn your real estate aspirations into reality.
Attention builders, we've got everything you need to know about the grit and grind of the construction world in one show. The Construction Show is where you can share your expert techniques and strategies to help keep the crew strong and construction sites secure. From foundational tips, industry trends, safety strategies to advanced equipment and machinery. Be part of the voice of construction. Book your episode and showcase your company to millions worldwide. Visit crownsman.com.
And then if you don't do the proper down payment, then you got to pay all the extra insurance for that. So you end up kind of back to the same spot. It's a nasty cycle. It really is.
Yeah.
In what city are you doing most of your work, guys? And who do you see? Who are the buyers at the moment?
Yeah, I'd say we specialize Vancouver. You know, like that's where I spend the most of my time. Like downtown, West Side, South Vancouver. I live in Kitsilano, so you know I do quite a bit of stuff. Kitsilano, Fairview, Mount Pleasant. But I mean, we'll go over to the North Shore. You know, we are kind of Greater Vancouver. I mean, if it's you know a situation, how do I put this? If it's a situation that you know we feel confident in, then you know there's nothing we can't really tackle. So, every year this year we had a client we've done quite a few transactions with and we've worked with for many years. So we helped them out with some stuff in Langley. We don't typically go out to Langley. That's not our specialty market, but, we've been kind of helping them, upsize from kind of starting out this way to slowly going out east. So he prefers to work with us and he's confident. So, we might venture out to those types of markets, but I'd say Vancouver's our general. In general,
I think probably 80% is Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, we like the west side, but I live in East Van, so I also don't mind East Vancouver.
Yeah.
Depending on the pocket.
Yeah.
To answer your question, you're talking about like what types of people are we running into, right? Like,
Yes.
so I'd say it's a blend, like, you got buyers and sellers. If you're talking about buyers, for example, like, we're doing last couple have been like first time home buyers. So people that have been working, early 30s, either a couple or single, family, maybe helping out a tad, or just this recent client we had, they both have good jobs, high paying jobs. They're able to afford, something quite nice, 2-bedroom or, 1-bedroom den, no problem. So, I'd say it is a blend though. If you factor in the selling, obviously those are different types of people, downsizers or, couples that recently got divorced, etc. But in terms of buyers, I'd say younger couples, people that are making their own, their first purchase. That's kind of what I've been running into lately, but I'm not sure what you run.
I think so, yeah. Like kind of like what you touched on. We're thinking about, a couple. I kind of call them the power couple. They both have like a really high positions in their work. And then one that I can think of, they recently bought a house in East Van, but they had to they didn't have to, but they prefer to have a rental income. So that one had a laneway home, and they just rented it out like a week ago. So I'm happy for them, because even the rental market is not that straightforward now, because house prices have dropped a little bit, but also rental prices arguably might be dropping more than house prices right now.
Does the bank consider those laneways as potential revenue? Do they factor that in, or do you just need to be able to carry the whole cost?
If you have a good broker, I'm sure they do.
Do they?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think they should. Yeah,
they should. Yeah.
It's additional.
Because I used to have a suite when I had my first property in Kamloops, and they didn't count it, right? So I had to be able to carry that cost, and then I could still rent it. But it was kind of, it's like, well, yeah, but it's a unit, it's there, but they wouldn't. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I guess if I think it has to have its own meter, right? Is a setup.
Sometimes with the unauthorized suites in Vancouver, you run into that a lot. They may or may not count it, or they might just count like 50% of it.
Yeah. But then I think actually Kamloops, you recently changed the rules. So before the rules where you couldn't have a suite and stuff. And then of course they realized people don't have homes when there was nothing on the market. So they changed it. So do you know what the rules are here?
I know that right now they have a freeze on shutting down illegal suites for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
So they're like, if you're having any rowdy neighbors with illegal suites, they're not going anywhere.
For 2 years.
Oh,
at least 2 years, yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. I wonder what's going to happen next year when we have the World Cup, the biggest sporting event of the world, right here in Vancouver. And we already have a major shortage of hotels. We saw when Taylor Swift was here, it was chaotic and prices went through the roof. And I wonder what's going to happen for the month of June next year, because it's going to be a month long, maybe more. And I think they're going to have to bring in the Airbnb for anyone that is willing to do that and get creative, because I don't know where people are going to stay.
Well, for Taylor Swift, there was talk about them bringing in a freight, one of these ship. Yeah. I was like, I hope they do that. That would just be awesome.
They did that up in Squamish, right?
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that up in Squamish. I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea.
For the LNG project there. Yeah. Actually, we have a pub in Britannia Beach beside the copper mine, so it's just across from us there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
You touched on a really good point, though, about Airbnb. That's another one of those restrictions, because they've put so many restrictions on rental properties. Airbnb ban, empty home tax, vacancy tax. I don't know, the list goes on. What else is there?
I think for the Airbnb one, I think it was more of a deterrent from people purchasing it, not so much a motivation for people to sell it. Because if you look at the whole Airbnb spectrum, we used to work a lot with Airbnb properties, and it's it's not a lot of people that own like 20, 30 units. It's just a lot of people that, own it as their second home, or it's, you know what I mean? Like there's not many people that own like a ton of them. Like I've never really ran into people that like I've heard of it. Right.
Yeah.
But in our experience, it was just a lot of people like it's their second home. They might live abroad. They come and use it every so often. It gives them the most flexibility in terms of renting it out, etc. Or they just, they live in the city and they want investment property, and that's the most lucrative investment property. That's where you technically, if you do it the right way, you're going to get the highest cap for your property. So,
So you can do it now just with your primary residence.
it's
Yes.
There's a large kind of gray area.
Yeah.
There's a little gray area, in that kind of realm. I won't touch on that, but like there's still lots of properties doing well. A lot of Airbnbs, but there could be more. I think that some of the buildings, there's only about 15 or so in the city that allow for it. I think that some have gone and opted out of it. So, that definitely changed the market a little bit. There's some nice buildings that did allow for it for a long time, like 1372 Seymour, the Mark, like that was a really nice building. And they're kind of slowly, leaning out of it more and more and more, which does affect people, using it in that way. So we need to max out though for the World Cup. You'll need all the places you can get.
I think another concern is going to be where we're going to get all of because us being in the hospitality industry, all of our help, our servers, been a big clamp down on immigration.
Yeah.
So, for example, I think between the UK and Ireland, they get about maybe 10,000, for example, permits a year, and I think it was down to 3 this year. So
3,000.
Yeah, and you can see that, like, normally my phone is hopping. It's like, I need accommodation, I need a job, and this is the first year in a long time it's not, so they have really closed the gates there, and maybe that had to be done. I'm not saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I am concerned about next year when the World Cup comes, and we're going to need a lot of people to help us in the hospitality industry, and we're going to need a lot of rooms to have accommodation for those people. So Airbnb, hotels are just being approved like by the day now, because they know that we need them. We have a pub on Granville Street, actually, Donlands, on the 1000 block, and that, I don't know if you've seen the Granville Street master plan, but that one block there between Hamilton and Nelson, it's called Zone A, is going to be zoned, I believe, for like hotels. So they want to dedicate that block to hotels, and they do realize that we have a big shortage. Recently, I helped somebody book into the hostel in Jericho, and a single room there was $180 a night
At the hostel.
Yeah, and they had one available. $180. So plus tax, it was like over $200.
Wow.
So for a room in the hostel, in that Jericho hostel there,
That's kind
down
of
in Kitsilano. Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
what
Now
are the hotel rooms going to be?
you go to get a hotel and it's like $450. You think it's a deal now?
Yeah.
Like it's yeah.
That's how much I paid for going to Penticton for a weekend coming up.
Right.
I thought it was a deal. It was actually $415.
Yeah, that's a good price.
It's like,
now.
oh my God, I can actually fit my family of 5 in this hotel room. Pretty lucky here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the foreign buyers tax. I think I would. Was it effective? I guess it would be effective. I think, right? It did what it was meant to do, and that the foreign money stopped coming in the way it was. What do you think that balance is between that a family that's here can actually buy a home versus, like, I remember back in the day in Richmond, you'd see the towers and there'd be like 4 lights on. You remember those days? It was like there was nobody in the tower. It was just foreign buyers. And you're thinking, like, there's people working like working for you that can't get into that market because that's getting pushed so high up. Do you think there is a balance where that foreign money can come in, but that you can, like, make it still accessible? Or, I mean, the other option is just build. But of course, then you get into, overstocking issues, and the market drops, inflation, and all of a sudden now you've got an overstocks anyway. So what do you if you were to pick a policy and you know they'd all listen to you, what do you think that balance is?
Good question. I feel like you know, the luxury market. I mean, I don't think there's 95% of locals cannot afford it. So maybe over like $4 million as an example. You know, maybe having like some kind of rule for people that are local and working and living here, like people that are Canadian, they have a, you know, a priority for a certain product type.
Right. So incentivizing through like rather than restriction incentive.
Yeah, maybe give them tax credit or some type of extra push to kind of make that leap.
Yeah. Or maybe not. What was the other thing they had on there? The
Lower interest rate, maybe, or something like that.
lower interest rate and the stress test. What did that do to you? I mean, that kept me out of the market because I sold a place and then I had this window of time because I had my business and, you know, it just didn't work. I couldn't put the numbers together. And then I got to a point where I could, of course, but that stress test kind of, personally, it screwed me for kind of a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the market activity levels in terms of sales are similar to about 5 years ago when that was implemented. I think it was like 5-6 years ago. So the market is around the same. I think it was the 3 slowest times of the market were in the last, call it 10 years, was, or it's, at least I should say since 2017. So the last 8 years, stress test, pandemic, and highest inventory, which is right now.
Yeah.
So these are the slower times that we've seen. But we're kind of waiting to see when that's going to recover.
So like a place like you're doing, like I mean, I guess it doesn't go on to the market for what? Like, what is the timeline on that?
We'll probably list it in a couple of months.
Oh,
yeah,
fairly soon.
Yeah, we're framing there at the moment. So,
how much does it change in 2 months? Like if you're listening to like the news, you'll hear it. You know, if you look at the S&P 500, it's actually fairly consistent. If you listen to the news, you think the market's going up and down. But if you look at it over a 10-year span, it pretty much does the exact same thing. Is real estate similar? It's kind of like if you're looking at it in a 2-month window, it feels like there's a lot up and down. What is it like though over, let's say, the last 10 years that you look at it? Is it, I mean, it still kind of does this, right?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's different. We're in it. We can see kind of some subtle changes that most people can't. Obviously, the news, they kind of over embellish most things, right? But I'd say it's pretty consistently gone up, right? Like if you compare the last, like say 5 years, there's definitely on the swing up. There is some dips and, you know, and such. But, you know, if you take into account where you're dipping to, you're still in relative to the year prior.
Exactly.
Higher,
Yeah.
right? So it is on the rise. Like,
yeah,
you know, things seem to go up quicker than they're going down for sure. That's what we're planning.
Do you deal with like what William's doing, like development? Have you gotten into that, like dealing with the developers?
I mean, in a pre-sale capacity, yeah. I think that I have to think like builders is like single family, like detached, yeah. But in terms of like large commercial projects, being exclusive, like selling agents for that, not a ton.
Yeah,
Not a ton. We're more so on the buying side of things when it comes to developments. Ron, you might have experience with.
Yeah. We do have a few
smaller projects.
We do have a few duplexes coming up. There's a few connections. Actually, our home inspector, David, he connected us with a really good developer because we.
Is that the same guy I used to? Or is that a different guy?
Probably, yeah. Really tall guy.
Yeah.
Fairburn?
Taller than you, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, probably.
Yeah, it's hard to do, but yeah. So yeah, we have. So we'd like to hear more about your product later on, but. We probably toured East Van 30, 40 duplexes over, you know, a few months, and 90% of them were not even up to standards. Like, I don't know how to use the word standards, but they wouldn't pass a home inspection.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Especially with him, he's a little intense.
I done the same. I probably viewed 20 of them with our team, and I couldn't believe this was before we started even designing our own one. But I couldn't believe, like, not alone were they. Did they all look the same, but they were painted the same color. They were all painted black and white, and I was just thinking, like, this is crazy. It was like everyone is just copying each other and build it as quick as you can for as cheap as you can, and just sell it and try and make some money. So we wanted to like typically a roof, and we were like, yeah, we're not doing any of that. We're going to put a private rooftop patio. We want it to be, somewhat custom, and to stand out. So we spent a little bit more money, and hopefully that will help us when we go to sell.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, we only have like a list of maybe 2 or 3 duplex builders in East Vancouver that we would actually work with. So maybe we can add you to that.
Yes, yeah.
Well, and that's
Hopefully, yeah.
well, and that's what I was going to get you though. What's the feedback they're saying? Like going back to William's question, what are they saying about their development? So what kind of, I mean, the tariffs and all this sort of stuff that we're running into, what are they, are they feeling that same way, or is it kind of like, well, the market does this?
There's a little bit of stress there. Yeah, I think you can feel that, a little bit of uncertainty, and it's maybe they have to hold it for a little bit longer, costs going up.
Yeah.
I think that's common across the board right now.
Yeah, we're dealing with that right now, and this is our first development here in Vancouver that we're doing ourselves, but we've built hundreds of homes, so we're experienced builders. But I'm considering, like one and done. We're going to do one, and I don't know if I'll do another one. Honestly, because the red tape, the hoop jumping, the DCCs, the development cost charges, it's crazy. It really is. It's very, very tough. There's easier ways to make money. So,
Right.
and you're constantly hearing people talking about affordable living. And that just makes me like laugh, because I don't think in my lifetime we're ever going to see affordability when it comes to homes in Vancouver. That's my personal opinion.
I can't see that.
I can't see it happening. Price of goods is going up all the time. Labor is going up all the time. Your land is only going one way. I think when you have a Vancouver address, I'm here 16 years. I've never seen it go down. People are talking about a reset, and it's going to happen. And I'll give you a quick example. And this is a commercial property, so a little bit different, but it's real estate. A building that we were renting on Granville Street, and we were renting there for a few years, and we were hoping to try and buy it. And we have a pub there. It's a single tenant. And COVID came, right? So we had the pandemic. It's hospitality, so it's like it couldn't be any worse, right? The price over those 3 years continued to go up. We did end up buying the building, but the price increased and went up like about 500,000 a year. And this is the worst possible time for a bar and restaurant. And we think we're going to get a bit of value, and this is our opportunity to buy, and we're negotiating with the landlord there, and we end up buying it, but we paid, top dollar for it. So, and I know everything is relative too. We bought a farm up in the 100 Mile, maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago as well, 150 acres and a cabin, and held on to that for a number of years. And that was great value, so we bought it for, I was blown away, like $1,000 an acre. So I'm like, wow, this is insane. I come from the west of Ireland, where land is about 10,000 euros an acre. So I'm thinking this is a really good deal, and ended up buying that. Held on to it for I don't know, 5 or 7 years, but put a lot of money into it, and then sold it and made a small little bit of money, but just a small bit of money.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a good lesson for me. You can buy really low, in rural areas, but you're not going to see much of a lift.
Rural stuff. I was telling you. Yeah.
Unless you stay there for a long, long time. Whereas on Granville Street, you could see a lift, in a year or 2 or 3, a significant lift, even in the bad times. So that was a good lesson for me. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I think I told you about, there was, I won't actually say his name, but there was a developer out in Ashcroft, and he did that. He took this land. Affordable is an understatement. He built he's an Italian builder. He built nice homes on it, and they just sat there. It was crazy. I forget what year it was. There was, the market had some issues and stuff. Like now they probably wouldn't, because now rural buying is a little more fashionable now.
Yeah.
So you do see those shifts in the market. But at that time, he built beautiful homes there. They should have been gone, and he thought it. And it wasn't. He would have been better to spend twice as much and build them in Kamloops. That's actually something I'm curious about too. That trend, because you saw in COVID, like the island exploded and all this sort of, people wanted to get out. why live in a city if you can't go to a pub? Like, what's the point? No, I mean, like, when I'm in the country, I can go up in the mountains, I can do stuff. But living in a city, I'm here because I want to be able to go and do city stuff. What is that? What was that shift during COVID and then now? So are you still seeing some of that trends?
I think so. Yeah, I think there's a big push for working from home still.
Yeah.
A lot of companies have maybe shut down their downtown offices, or maybe they go like 2-3 days a week, like a hybrid.
The shared spaces, yeah.
Yeah, like the co-working spaces. Yeah, so I think there's still is demand to work from home.
Still a push to go out, further east or into the interior as well. I hear about a lot of people still going places like Kamloops or Salmon Arm,
yeah. I keep hearing that.
Look at Squamish.
Yeah, Squamish, exactly.
What happened there?
Pemberton.
Yeah.
I think there's still a push for people to go where it's more affordable, even though these places are now becoming like less affordable.
Yeah, it's not what it was.
Yeah,
No.
which is good for you if you live there already, right? And you can capitalize on that big swing, But yeah, I know Kamloops, Kelowna, these places are now like pretty getting up there. Kelowna, obviously more than
Kelowna,
Revelstoke.
Yeah, Revelstoke. Yeah, Revelstoke.
He's from Revelstoke, so.
Oh, it's my brother. My brother has the same name as you, and he played for the Grizzlies.
Oh, there you go. The
Grizzlies. Yeah.
Little junior B action.
Junior B action. Yeah. Yeah. They get some snow. You want snow?
Oh yeah.
Go to Revelstoke. I wanted to ask a little because people are sitting there listening, and just a little bit of help going back to for the consumer inspection. There was some flaws in the building that we had, but your inspector did a really good job. You did a good job of finding the history of the building, and then he did a good job of inspecting it for me. So I knew to budget, okay, this could happen and I can plan for that. And it still worked for me, but I knew. I've seen other people that buy a house and they don't know. They get a bad inspector. They get a real estate agent that's trying to move it quickly. Or you get into the situation where, someone's got 3 kids, they need a place. And now it's, the bidding wars, and they're getting pressured by the real estate agents to make an offer, and all this sort of stuff that happens to them. What advice, and I've known you long enough to know you're not, well, I didn't do it to me. As far as I know, you're not doing that to people. So what advice would you have? And the person we bought it from, I mean, I don't know if you remember, her real estate agent was like, wouldn't even look up from her phone. It was one of those people like, just accept the offer. Not the person I'd want representing me if I was selling.
Maybe that worked to our advantage, though, right?
It worked to our advantage, yeah. But what should those expectations be? Inspections, people negotiating either to buy or sell. What should they expect from a real estate agent?
I think having a good team, kind of like what you described, it's important to have a good realtor or realtor team. I feel like teams are a lot more productive now because you could have buyers, you could have sellers. Mm-hmm. You need to have at least, I think, somebody else to help you with the workload, because a lot of solo agents, I used to be there, you would burn out very easily. You go 70, 80 hours a week, and then you you go on stress management. I don't know what you call it, but you take a long vacation. I think having the key people like the mortgage broker, if you're on the buying side, home inspector, like you said, actually having a realtor team that will read your documents. Right. There's other things you want to check, like insurance, maybe getting proper quotes. There's a number of things that you want to do before buying. Maybe look into the builder. There's a long list, very, very long list. But the idea is to work with a team of professionals that are not too busy, right? But they're also not doing any business at all. You want to kind of find the sweet spot. So for us, we found 40 to 50 transactions for the two of us is a pretty good balance, right? We could probably try to push that up higher, but then we'd be, making mistakes. We'd be burning out. We'd be
reduce the quality a little bit too.
Yeah. So for us, it's more of a boutique style setup,
right?
And obviously, people like McKay, our broker, that he more or less puts our deals on a priority, right? Because we work very closely together. David, he teaches home inspectors how to.
He was impressive.
Yeah,
I mean, and when I was watching him, I was watching like his eyes, and he is like he's actually looking. And I've seen the other. I mean, there are some inspectors that are just terrible. it's like his passion.
Yeah, you should get him on the show. I think you should get those two on the
He's
show.
the most knowledgeable guy we've ever ran into. Like he's so far beyond anyone else that I've seen.
But it's quite frustrating because you sent him to me, and this is kind of what I'm getting at. If you send me a bad one, you don't even know the difference. You just go, oh, this is how an inspector, this is how they do it.
Yeah.
So you just kind of go along with it. And you can get really screwed over.
Yeah.
Especially if you've like maxed out and you got your parents to sign on and you just end up in a mess and you're right up the max, you kind of make that income, but you bought a little bit above, all this stuff that people do. And all of a sudden now you've got a $20,000 bill coming in from the property, that sort of stuff. Yeah. But it's an interesting piece of advice is look for those teams. Because now that you say that, I have seen that single real estate agent and it's always a little bit chaotic dealing with them because they're kind of doing everything and they're getting all those calls.
Some of them are really good. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, I've seen good ones, but it is a little more chaotic.
But it could be a little harder to balance. Like in this market, it's a lot more time involved in selling a home. Mm-hmm. The buyers are taking their time as well, asking a lot of questions. If they're first-time home buyers, they're going to be asking even more questions. So, we're happy to help, right?
So from what you're saying though, if I was coming in now, I would not just try to get to know real estate. I'd be asking, well, who do you use as your broker? Who's your inspector?
Yeah.
I'd actually, as of now, that's what I would do. I would actually find out what's your network. And then I would get that sent to me. And then I would do my research on those individuals and get a feel for what am I getting into?
Yeah. Yeah. We also give personal references. I know it's old school, but sometimes talking to the people and asking about it because we've had one reference, Kevin. He talked for like 30 minutes when somebody called him.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like there's so many things that kind of even his last transaction was a little
wacky. Yeah.
Yeah, wacky.
Yeah, just talking to references just so you speak with someone who's worked with us, can ask some in-depth questions, make sure they're not just your buddy or whatever, right? So,
yeah. I get a couple.
Due diligence. Yeah. Me personally, I'm very bullish towards real estate, and I've done very different investments like land and commercial property and residential property and made lots of mistakes. Is there any advice, a single piece of advice that each of you could give to our listeners that are, about to invest in real estate or maybe already investing in real estate? I give the example of, investing. I remember reading a book one time, I can't remember what book it was, but it said, the difference between assets and liabilities is, an asset will put money into your pocket and a liability will take money out of your pocket. And I was after buying a piece of land at the time and I was like, oh, what is it? I can't, I can't put a tenant in there. But then, you buy a property, a little commercial property and put a tenant in there and, it might almost cover the mortgage or maybe sometimes it will cover the mortgage and that's an asset.
Yeah.
And you might get a 5% lift each year and more if you're lucky. But what advice would you give to somebody investing in real estate? A single piece of advice.
I would say time in the market is better than timing the market. I always tell that to people. Like time in the market beats timing the market. Like right now is a good time. Like if you wanted to time it right now for certain products, it'd be good maybe for a certain condo downtown or in this specific area, but overall there's going to be the ups, there's going to be the downs, but the trends we're seeing, if you base it on all the data that we have, like just getting in the market, starting to pay that down, that mortgage down, just getting your feet in the door, really is more valuable in my opinion than someone that really takes their time, takes a couple of years to decide what they want to do, and then by the time
all change.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Great advice. Great advice. Yeah. I remember when we purchased our first home here in Vancouver and, our mortgage came out on the 1st of each month. And I never remember that date right away after we purchased the home. But before that, when it was rent time, coming up to rent, you're like, oh, rent is next week, rent is tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, when it became yours, it wasn't like, you weren't paying somebody else's mortgage. You were paying your own mortgage, and it was an investment.
Right.
It was one of the best investments we ever made, and that was a leasehold property in Vancouver. So it was a land lease, and it doubled in price in 8 years.
Congrats.
Yeah. So, a lot of people are afraid of leaseholds. And I remember looking at that leasehold and I was reading it and I was thinking, this is pretty simple, bit vague, so a bit concerning. But like, if once you don't run the numbers, if I pay this much on a mortgage, and I pay this much on rent, I'm as well off paying the mortgage and putting that money in the bank, and then I'll have something to sell later, But, and we got out when the leases were just renewed, but they've been renewed again since. And the guy that I thought gave me a really good price, or gave us a good price, he got a good deal like 2 years later because they renewed the leases again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even leasehold, if you get the right location, I think that was in South Falls Creek. So I remember looking at that home and I was thinking, like, if we can walk out our door and we're on the seawall.
It's like Laney's Mill or something, or
Moberly Road. So
Moberly Road.
it's like it's in my opinion one of the nicest views or pieces of real estate in the world.
Oh yeah.
So if you can buy and it's somewhat reasonable, I think that'll always be worth money there.
Yeah, and correct. This is my opinion too. Is with real estate is don't be too obsessed with the deal, because it's like if you, I understand production equipment a little bit more. If you buy the camera that's half the price, you might get 30% less performance out of it. Like it really does go up when you get into higher. It's like, is a McLaren that much better than an American car? It's not 1,000% better, but that extra bit that it has makes all the difference. Yeah. And I do feel like in real estate, if you're just looking, be careful the person that does take the offer, because they might need to move that property. That property might not be at the level you think it's at. Yeah. And I feel like that's a big error. They think they saved 30,000. No, it's coming back on you. That place has got 40,000 or 100,000 worth of work coming your way. Right. Do you see that?
Yeah. There's so many different motivation levels behind every listing, right? So, we run into it, you look at the same product, two different sellers, two different temperaments, like it's difficult, right? Like you never know, right? But yeah, it's something we run into, I'd say.
What do you, just to wrap up, where do you think, because Jordan, we just met today, but Ron, I know you are legitimately successful as a real estate agent. And it's a hard market. There's a lot of, I remember back in the day, back when I used to go to a bar a little bit more and stuff you could go to a bar and collect 10 real estate agent cards. Like they were just everywhere. It's a lot of competition in it. What do you think has made, I'll ask both of you. We'll start with you, Ron. What do you think has made you successful? And I do want to add a layer onto it, because you're not the guy who's like throwing himself out there and aggressive and that. And I do feel that type of selling is not appreciated anymore. You see the real estate agent that's like dressing like a real estate agent. You're like, I didn't even want to talk to this guy. Like, I don't want to deal with it. It's like you were looking for more authentic people. Where do you think your strength has been to get the success you've had?
I think it's, I have to thank my mentor. In 2012, I met my mentor, and he was a top 1% realtor. So whenever I saw him communicate, it was more like a lawyer style. Mm-hmm. It was so smooth, so like it didn't feel pressured at all. And I was just like, whatever this guy says, I'm going to believe him. So I was more or less, he was an Italian bald guy. And then people thought we were brothers because we were hanging out with each other so much. And I was, kind of a similar look, tall and bald. So 7 years with him, I think that was more or less, he showed me the ropes. That was a huge piece to open up, because we also did property management. So right,
I remember you did
it was nice to have that background, because you more or less, it's like opening up a car under the hood. Like you see a building from a different angle, right? And as a realtor, that helps you a lot to see, about like rentals and about, where are the police showing up every weekend, or ambulances, which elevators are breaking down, right. Noise complaints, the parties, this and that. So you see a building in a lot more detail, because you're managing it daily versus, just seeing it for a snapshot, right? So I think that was very valuable. But I think, just giving the advice and the information and letting the client decide. It's not about dropping any smooth line and somebody's going to make a crazy decision for millions of dollars. It's just just giving the information.
Yeah. Jordan, what about you?
Yeah, I would say the mentorship part of it's big, right? Like when I got in, I just spanned my wheels a million miles an hour in every direction I could. I didn't really know what worked for me, right? Certain people, their personalities match certain different avenues of, doing business or in a sense. But yeah, I'd say, knowing Ron's been a big help. I was a solo agent before we met, and I think we work pretty well together. I think we both learned lots of stuff working together, tackling business, etc. But to touch on the style, I think me and him are more on the serious side. We're not like the super bubbly, drop the smooth line.
Show up with the Louis Vuitton crossbody bags.
We're not the bougie super sales folks here.
Hey, they're out there.
Oh yeah, no, we're more on the serious side. So I think that approach has been good for us, and that's how we work good together. And I think people appreciate that, the no pressure approach. Like for us, it's like we're just giving you the most information we can for you to make the most educated decision you can, right? We're just, trying to help you, trying to educate you, trying to make sure that we're, saving you from any issues that might arise. We're trying to fight fires wherever we can.
Yeah.
We're just trying to really do a good job and an authentic job. We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, in the beginning, you're trying so hard. You're trying to, it's been quite a few years since, I went through that. But, in the beginning, I remember trying really hard to sell people on myself, right?
Right.
You're trying to prove to someone that you know what you're doing, even though they might not think the same. But, over time, you take the different approach where you just get a little more confident. You get the experience under your belt. You keep showing up and being conscious of what you're doing and where you're putting your effort. And it kind of vibrates out to people, right? How they receive you.
How do you get your first job as a real estate agent? I've actually never understood that because I would never use someone that's new. I would just now be like, sorry, like I'm not risking on you.
I think they probably have friends that they've probably
they have a buddy,
family, right?
Yeah,
it's usually the most common, right?
Yeah,
so you get a couple under their belt, but
fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
don't tell anyone like this is my first sale,
But usually you can tell though. You can tell if someone.
Well, if you
want to experience,
you got to buy the crossbody.
Yeah.
Some fair loafers.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, gents, I'd love to hear where you think, or what you think is going to happen for the rest of 2025 with the real estate market. Do you think it's going to take a little dip? Do you think it's going to stay where it is? Do you think it's going to get a little bit better?
I think things might slide a little bit more. So hard to say for sure, though.
Yeah, different products.
Yeah. I think more like it's going to be more like what we're seeing right now. Like the detached market will probably, remain more or less balanced. Condo market still really, really high inventory there. So I think we need to see a lot of sales there before there's some big improvement. So yeah, I think it's going to be more of the same unless there's a policy change, which I think that might be a good idea because I know BC is like I don't know how to describe it, like a Whistler Village. Like it's like BC is like tourism.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how we survive is from real estate transactions. So right now there's not as many as we're used to. So I think there needs to be some changes. So let's see if it happens in the second half of 2025 or maybe like you say before the World Cup. That might be a good idea. But I think there will be some changes coming.
But people do get into it for that reason too. Like when I bought my place, I wasn't even planning to buy a place. I saw the interest rate jumped once. It might be jumped twice. And I do enough investing and stuff. So I had some concept of, okay, if it's going up and it was getting into the fall, so places are sitting on the market a little bit. So I called you and started making offers. Essentially, like, okay, there's going to be some people that are willing to, I can actually get into the market at a good rate. So that does happen as well, though, right? Yeah. You see that people start moving into the market, those types of thinkers, right?
Yeah, I think the rates, I think Jordan even knows more about this, but the bond rates and obviously the Bank of Canada rates, those are kind of like similar, but not similar. Mm-hmm. But obviously when they go down, there is obviously more demand from buyers.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, I do think the rates will come down more this year.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And then those investors and that money starts kind of moving around a little bit. And I think once we get some stability with the US and Canada, I think that just the kind of up in the air, but I think that's going to get worked out. Whether it's going to be worked out perfectly for in Canada's favor, I don't see that happening. But it's kind of like better a bad plan than no plan. It's kind of one of those situations, and you at least know what's happening and you adapt, right? So, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in here. Appreciate it. And
Before we go, I'm going to give you a little gift.
Oh, yes.
Share. So here we have a bottle of Writer's Tears whiskey. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but this is a very special bottle. This is a cask that we had shipped over from Ireland. Our good friend Bernard Walsh, who operates this beautiful business, made a special batch for us a number of years back. Took a long time. It was well worth it. We won't do it again, but we have about 50 bottles of this left, and there won't be any more. So this is for you guys. Please enjoy it, and thanks for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Very, very well.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And make sure to subscribe, everybody, and we will see you on the next episode of the West Coast Business Show.